nobody fucking prepared me for tax season. Like, I'm getting my ass kicked right now. I don't know how to file my taxes.
You also owe money to the state, don't you?
Absolutely, yes. I will pay it.
This could go horribly wrong.
What was the wildest college story?
We went to the beach at 1:30 a.m. during winter. Like, it was negative. Just cause. How to manage my rage? Because you filmed me with that.
I jumped into the river Thames. I could have died.
-3, -30, whatever the temperature. Take a walk outside.
I don't want to be the only one going to the kitchen in boxers. Then a fourth woman came. Then my parents were like, "Beta, ye to mushkil lag raha hai." And then a fifth woman came, and it was just me. And I was in my.
Stop living life like a sprint, because it is a marathon. See what works for you and navigate life yourself. Don't just do things because people are doing it.
Has there been a thing that a guest has said that stayed with you? I don't know why I've been looking at you recently, and I think you do really well on Big Boss. So I went on the internet and I did findmykundi.com. I paid $40 once to some old lady in LA.
I don't think we have been this delulu.
His advice is the reason that I'm leaving New York. Cheers.
Cheers.
No free branding for the place where this chai came from. Fuck you.
Cheers.
Fuck you.
5 people listen to this. Nobody cares.
Pay me, Giles. I think we should start by addressing the room, the white elephant in the room.
What's the white elephant? Why is it white?
Because elephants are usually black or brown. Not brown like black.
They're grey, dude.
Black?
No.
Dark grey.
Not you. They're grey. They're not black. A black elephant will scare the fuck out of me, dude. A black elephant is not it.
Well, white elephants don't exist.
Albino shit existed.
They aren't elephants.
Albino elephants, dude. Haven't you ever seen an albino alligator?
You can't change the animal for the example.
They all exist in every animal. I think. I could be wrong. But
Bro.
I know, bro, if you can see a white alligator, you can see a white anything.
Where do you find white alligators?
In the wild.
Have you seen one?
On video.
What do you work in?
It is not a fake video. This is from the era of way before fake videos, like 2012, 2015. We did not have the capability then. Unless you believe in, some of your... What's the word for it? Damn, I'm blanking. We spoke to Devyani about this also. She's a huge believer in...
Astrology?
No. What does this have to do with astrology?
Astrology is also about the future.
Like the moon landing was fake. What is that? The word for it, the word for wax stories that people believe, but...
Conspiracy.
There we go. Conspiracy theories. That took too long. That took too long. That took far too long.
I think the wildest conspiracy theory is that Michael Jackson's still alive. I believe it.
But why?
I truly believe that he had so many cases of pedophilia against him that he decided to get one final plastic surgery in his life, fake his death, and move somewhere deep into the suburbs of Africa.
Okay, sure. But like, you have to have something. See, that's an idea. The idea makes sense, sure. But the infinite ideas make sense. Why do you think that is true?
Because
What's the evidence for it?
There was no significant reason for his death.
Was there not his body found or something?
He faked a body. He got plastic surgery like 11 times. He could have faked a body.
Bro, I feel like in the post-mortem stuff, they like check your teeth and check your... Like, they do a bunch of things that you can't just fake.
Well, it was rumored that Elvis Presley died decades ago. He's still alive. Elvis Presley is seriously alive.
Wait, you mentioned a white elephant. What is the white elephant? Let's get back on track. What's going
There
on?
was really no white elephant, but it clearly just activated the beast inside of you. I wanted to talk about India being in the Champions Trophy final.
Let's go. That's also unfortunately why we can't record our pod tomorrow.
Yeah.
Breaks my heart. I also got cricket balls, the white ones. But now There's no one to sign them.
If you really think about it,
I'm
I
thinking
think
about
we
it.
can find someone to sign them.
We can find someone to sign them, sure. But will it be an Indian cricketer?
No, seriously, it's kind of cool that India's in the Champions Trophy final.
It is.
I only wanted to really address it because they've had a great run.
They haven't lost a single game,
Undefeated.
which is what makes me a little anxious because the last time we didn't lose a single game, we lost the final.
We won the World Cup last year, undefeated.
Yes, but the World Cup before that, the one day, the ODI, undefeated
Yeah.
up until the last game.
Australia?
Australia.
Australia finds a way, my friend.
I was so happy when we beat them this time.
Yeah.
And not just beat, like, it was a convincing win.
Yeah, we broke them.
That was fun.
Australia
a lot of fun
always
watch.
finds a way to show up against India, though.
Yeah. They have a really good team.
Yeah.
And they didn't have some of their players playing. Some of them
Most of their best players were not.
Most
Mitchell
of
Stark
some.
was not there.
Mitchell
Pat
Stark.
Cummins was not there.
Yeah, but we also didn't have Bumrah.
Yeah, but then look at our batting lineup.
Our batting lineup's
Like
ridiculous.
at number 8
Ridiculous.
is Ravindra Jadeja. Number 8. How do you break a batting lineup like that?
India's always. I was watching the greatest rivalry in history, or whatever the name is. It's basically India Park, right? On Netflix, and they were talking about why Pakistan has always had a really strong bowling lineup and India has always had a strong batting lineup, and that's an
Mhm.
interesting thing of how it is somewhat reflective of society at large and like who everyone is as a person, and the aggression from the Pakistan side, and like that's why really fast bowlers. Like sport tells you a lot about a person. I was actually rolling with Varun today, and I don't know, it's something like jiu-jitsu is so intimate that you get to understand a person better with it. He's a scrappy guy. Like he's a scrambler. Like he'll get it done. And that's interesting. Like I would have never known that about him otherwise.
Mhm.
Sport is interesting, man. It tells you a lot about whoever is playing that sport. It's pretty cool.
I spoke to somebody a couple of years back, and I said, if you could do something different when you interview a candidate for a job, what would you do? And they said, I'd take them to play a sport
Yeah.
because it tests your discipline, it tests your character, it tests your hunger,
Yeah.
your drive to win, how you respond to defeat. And there's few things that in a single event you can see all of those character traits in someone.
I mean, having played golf for so long, just the way you react after a bad shot tells so much about a person.
Yeah.
And that's very interesting.
I don't entirely think golf would be a good representation, though.
It's a good representation of mental.
It's a
states
great
for sure.
representation of your mental state and
Yes.
your mental strength.
Yes.
But to really test those smaller nuances, you need a fast-paced sport. I
Yeah,
think.
because that is, you don't have time to think, right? If you that's the thing. If you want to test someone's thought process, how they
Yeah.
deal when they have time, like not just reactionary, then golf is a great place. But otherwise, if you don't want to give them any time, something fast paced, that definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
And sport is, I mean, I still feel like, I mean, I had that experience in school. I'm sure you did too. Any kid who grew up an athlete did, and it's sad that schools don't support like sports. I don't know if that's changed. I don't think it has. Especially when we went back to school and we spoke to all of our sports teachers, they were like, it's actually gotten worse,
Yeah.
and that breaks my heart. That's sad, but it is what it is.
What do you think needs to change in the education system in India?
There's a lot of rote learning. See, there's so many layered problems because at the end of the day, when it comes down to efficiency, right, you need a very straightforward way to be able to evaluate people because there are so many people. Like in a perfect world, if that could exist, I would say education would be like how you would evaluate people in education is based on like real world projects that they do. But now if you have, how many applications do you get for Indian universities? It's in the tens of millions, right? If you have tens of millions of projects in the real world, you can't go through that.
Yeah.
right? And so at some point, these marks come into play. And just because of the volume of how many papers need to be corrected, just the teachers correcting the papers, teachers are from different backgrounds, teachers are from different schools. If they don't have a very clear outline of how to mark a paper, how can you ensure fairness in those markings? Now, there are too many things. So, in reality, how do you solve all of these problems? I really don't know. Um, but for a very small subset of people, it would, like, it's solvable, it's easily approachable, all of that things happen. But at scale, everything goes for a toss, right? And that's, I really don't know how you would solve that at scale. Because the ideas of what education should be, of what education could be, and how it could impact people and impact society at large is very easy to ideate, relatively easy to ideate. But solving that at scale, I don't even know where to begin.
I think it's gonna have to take a lot of the education system coming together to solve the problem. You can't. Let me reframe. You can solve the problem in silos, school by school, but it won't be as efficient as the education system operating as one, where you are removed from rote learning as the fundamental concept of learning.
Yeah, I agree, but how would you take out rote learning? That's the problem, right? Because if you have structured everything, then all of that structure can be remembered. Like, for example, in our econ papers, right? If there was a question in the textbook, you had an exact part that question referenced. There were, let's say it was a 6-mark question. There were 6 points in that book that you had to write down. You had to write down the heading from the book and then the explanation. Now, I have actually in 9th, when we first had econ, I missed a lot of school because of golf. I didn't know that's what you were supposed to do. I just had an understanding and I wrote it down and it was right. And I had this conversation with our econ teacher at the time. My answers were right, but they weren't in the format that was expected, and so I didn't get the marks. That's ridiculous. But if you're talking about fairness on they're preparing us for the boards, right? And they don't know who's going to mark our papers. And when you're talking about that parity on a national scale, like, they also don't have a choice. So how would you take it out? I don't even know. I'm sure there is a way. There's always a way for everything. And it has to be a fundamental shift, sure. But, like, what? I don't have a clue.
I think the remodel can just be to have more problem solving come in. You don't have to entirely remove the existing method of teaching, but you bring in more critical problem solving abilities for every single school board system. It's not limited to just IB having the best problem solving question answer sessions. That should exist in ICSE, CBSE, ISC, and every other school board that comes up. Because without that, I think in the real world, no matter what happens, nobody fucking prepared me for tax season, bro. Like, I'm getting my ass kicked right now. I don't know how to file my taxes.
You also owe money to the state, don't you?
Absolutely, yes. I will pay it. Nobody prepares you for that.
Yeah.
Nobody prepares you. In school, I truly, truly believe that they need to prepare you to learn how to negotiate.
That is a very important skill.
I think
they don't teach soft skills. They only teach hard skills.
Yeah. But
and that is a problem.
I
Because,
mean,
we live in a society, right?
If my teachers are watching this, I have lived my entire life on my soft skills. So, somebody's got to teach it to you, man.
I agree.
And schools need to start doing that. There needs to be etiquette, communication, sales, negotiation. Even in college, like, it's just a different ball game.
That's true. I think, at least college, I think the main thing that it teaches you is how to learn. At least for a science-based curriculum, it's less about... Actually, I won't even generalize this as science. I can say this specifically for CS. Because CS changes... I mean, the stuff that I learned back then is quite different. Like, fundamentals, sure, they stay, but fundamentals are important. But a lot of the things that you learn on top of your fundamentals, they change every year. Like, look at how quick AI is moving now. I don't think kids these days are coding from scratch. I don't think they're writing essays from scratch. I mean, you have LLMs to do everything. But it teaches you how to learn, because there was just so much thrown at you. Like every week I had only 5 courses every semester, but I had a good 11, 12, sometimes 15 assignments due every week. That's wild. But that teaches you how to focus. It teaches you how to get it done. It teaches you how to learn concepts very quickly.
Give some advice to some college kids.
Don't take my advice. Whatever I say, don't do it. Bro, this could go horribly wrong. So I want to be very clear about this. Figure out what works for you. Do not listen to me when I say these things. It worked for me. It will probably work for a small subset of people. Just don't do it.
He's a degenerate.
Yeah, I am. And so I work well at certain hours of the day. University classes were not at those hours, so I didn't go for them. I studied on my own. Now, that's not to say I didn't work. I was studying a good, 10 hours a day on average.
Nerd.
on like the slower days. And otherwise, it was basically just full days of work, and at night you would chill, and that's it. So that's not to say that I didn't work I probably worked harder in uni than I do now, than I ever have before or after. But certain times and certain ways of working just worked for me, and lecture just wasn't part of it. Like, I would still talk to professors, go in office hours, talk to them, get whatever questions I have answered, whatever the case may be. I just didn't go for lectures. It just didn't work for me. And so I think, and very surprisingly, not everyone who didn't go for lectures did really well, but everyone who did really well didn't go for lectures. At least in the people I knew. And so there is something to be said about that. I won't say everyone, I would say 80 to 90%. But there is something to be said about that. So the moral of that story would be to see what works for you and navigate life yourself. Learn about yourself, learn what works for you, learn what you want to do. Those things are very important. Don't just do things because people are doing it. I don't think that'll ever help you. Generally, there is a mass mentality because it works, but it might not work for you. And so be open to whatever. That's it. Don't skip classes. Classes are good for you. I don't want to be the reason people stop going, but yeah.
What was the wildest college story?
The ones that come to mind are not ones I can talk about. What's the wildest college story? Why is everything in college just so bad? Why can... My God. What a time. This is... Wow. I don't know, man. I have really fond memories of first year when every night I used to sleep. I was a degenerate first year. I used to sleep at 6 a.m. every day. Wake up late afternoon, 4 p.m., 5 p.m. I wasn't the only one. That was half of my residents. And every night, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., we just go to either Denny's, Hongsheng, which was this Chinese place, which we loved at the time, but I've been there after university. It's fucking vile. Oh, that or this Middle Eastern place. And every night, it was just vibes. -3, -30, whatever the temperature. Just take a walk outside, go eat some food, come back. It's good times. I don't think I've spent more time with human beings in my life as much as I did during that period of my life. Fond memories, good times. What's your wildest college experience?
I jumped into the River Thames.
Wow, that was easy. Did nothing, just... My mind was just blocked with stuff I can't say.
I don't do incriminating things.
Is that so?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm a straight shooter.
The receipts I have will say otherwise. feel like we should just have, screenshots scrolling on the screen for this segment. Rohan saying, I don't do things that are incriminating. Yeah.
Yeah, all the receipts would have helped my friends in need,
Absolutely.
my
yes.
struggling friends.
Absolutely.
Some of them unemployed, some of them employed. Whoever I could help, I helped.
You were in a residence. Your flatmates were all women for what, a year, 2 years?
Yeah, I was in my 3
Interesting.
years in college, I
Yeah.
was in residence twice.
Yeah.
You can't pick your flatmates.
Yeah.
The first year I had 5 flatmates.
Mhm.
You have an ensuite room,
Mhm.
so your own bathroom, and then you have a common kitchen. I walk in with my parents on the first day of college, and I went straight to the kitchen. There's 3 girls sitting. I'm like, चलो ठीक है, दो कमरे बचे हैं अभी, you know. And when you move into college, you want a male presence in your flat because I don't want to be the only one going to the kitchen in boxers. If 2 people do it, it's
Yeah.
better.
Mhm.
You become friends faster with the dude because you'll crack some disgusting joke or talk about sport. Then a 4th woman came. Then my parents were like, "Beta, ये तो मुश्किल लग रहा है." And then a 5th woman came, and it was just me,
Mhm.
and I was in my peak feminine phase my first year of college because I would come back home to 5 girls in the kitchen painting their nails.
Wow. Yeah.
So that was a hell of an experience.
Mhm.
And then I moved in with 2 of my friends, and then third year I went back to a residence, didn't pick my flatmates. This time there was 6 flatmates, not 5. All 6 were women.
Wow. Interesting.
And some would say I got blessed, but trust me, in college you want a dude in your flat. The dishes were always clean. The kitchen was never dirty.
The house
I
was
was-
probably spanking clean, dude. It's guys that are disgusting. Women are.
I'm very
angels.
clean.
Is that? Yeah, actually, not too bad.
I got yelled at a lot though. Because I could never leave anything anywhere. You know,
Yeah.
things had to be in their place.
Yeah.
So it's good. It made me a better person, I guess. Then I had to jump into the river to wash my sins. I had to say sorry to
I
the
went to
drunken
the-
girls.
I've actually done this twice, with my roommate at the time. We went to the beach at 1:30 a.m. during winter. Like it was negative, just 'cause, and it was about a 15-minute drive, but we walked it, and it was about an hour and a half to walk there and walk back. I don't know why, but we lit a bonfire on the beach and just sat there. It's pretty cool. The beach at night is pretty. It's a very interesting experience. It's pitch black. There's nothing, and it's nice.
It's a pretty calm place to be
Very calm.
in the night.
Yeah. The water scares the fuck out of
Yeah.
you though. You can't see anything.
Speaking of calm presence,
Mhm.
having been around me
Mhm.
for this podcast so much,
Mhm.
we're coming up to 25 episodes.
Mhm.
Do you want to talk about the best thing you've learned from the podcast?
How to manage my rage? Because you fill me with that shit, dude. How to manage the podcast?
You ass.
I think we've both become better conversationalists. I think one area that we still definitely need to improve that I've thought about, but it's not like it sounds trivial, but it's just not, is bringing energy into the podcast. It doesn't seem like it should be hard to do. And maybe it gets easier with better preparation. But that is, I think, one area that we definitely need to improve on. Quality definitely needs to get up there. I think we're also getting back to doing a lot of the heavy lifting with the editing and the creative stuff, which, I mean, we tried other methods, but I feel like we want to keep that close to home just because this is personal. And so just trying to navigate all of that getting a better understanding of what it actually takes to run a podcast has been interesting. I think there are a lot of things that need to be improved for sure. But I guess it's a journey, right? At least we started. And as long as we keep going, it will keep getting better. I think it already has gotten better.
What do you love the most about the podcast?
Conversations, man. I mean, it's obvious, but I'll give you an example. Like yesterday, we were having a conversation while playing, just before playing FIFA. FIFA, no conversation happens. But just before FIFA, about what has happened in the last 2 months, our learnings, 2, 3, whatever, and our learnings from that, and the direction we want to go in life, mindset shifts, clarity, whatever the case may be. And I mean, it was a very productive conversation, and a lot of those things, I'm guessing it would be similar for you, but it was for me, were at the back of your mind, but they never really come to the forefront until you have a conversation about them. And the podcast just does that regularly.
Yeah.
And in a world where you can just very easily get lost in, the digital world and not get time to think, the podcast kind of forces you to think. And so even if you're having a bad week where you haven't thought a lot, like you've just had a distracted week, there is at least these 1 or 2 hours, whatever the podcast duration is, that'll, kind of get you back down and ground you. And that's very helpful and that's very nice. Just the preparation, everything around, like there's a whole creative side to it, right? Like you're doing research on the guest, you're trying to figure out what would be interesting questions to ask them, pick their brain, what do you want to learn from them? And those things just help you get in that productive mindset.
Has there been a thing that a guest has said that's stayed with you? A thing.
Just one. When we had the podcast with Raja Uncle, if he sees this, thank you for that. I think I really needed to hear that. And the longer it's been, the more it's made sense to me. The question we asked him was, I'm going to paraphrase heavily, and I'm going to paraphrase his answer too. But the question was along the lines of, given that he's achieved so much and he's been through so much of life, what keeps him motivated to continue working hard and doing the things that he's doing? And if that desperation for success and the lack of comfort and that fear is required for you to be hyper productive and hyper successful. And his very simple answer was, if you're comfortable, if you're happy, you're more content, and with all of those things, you'll make better decisions. And those better decisions will go a much longer way. That better mindset and better decisions. And I never thought of it like that. That perspective, that point of view never came into my mind, ever. And I feel like when I'm also a bit of an obsessive person, right? And when you really start obsessing over something, even though you try to take a step back and think about the bigger picture, sometimes you just get siloed in. And so that's one thing the podcast has definitely helped with, is those panoramic perspectives. And hearing that from him was very helpful. And I think only relatively recently have I truly understood what he meant. It sounds very simple at the surface, and I'm sure, a lot of people are just saying, "Chutiye," like it's bahut seedha hai. You'll make better decisions if you're happy, whatever, mentally stable, right? But there's a lot more to that, and we were talking about this yesterday, about being a founder, right? I've been a founder twice before. And when I did that, I wanted to do it. I never forced myself to do it. But lately, I've been forcing myself to figure out something to create to get back to, to be a founder again. And that'll what I've realized is that'll just never work. Like, if it's coming out of not the want to be a founder, but the want to do something with your life and the desperation of success, however you define success, right? It's just not gonna work. And instead, just take a step back, be happy doing what you're doing, and work hard consistently. But at some level, just let it come to you. Now, again, this is not good advice for everyone, because some people are just lazy as fuck and they need a push and they need a push. It's as simple as that. But, and that's the mentality I've always attacked everything with. I mean, you know this. I'm self critical and I will never stop. But given that mindset, the thing I need to do is stop. Right? And so, yeah, that I think only recently have I really understood the value of what he said. And that has definitely stuck with me. A lot of things have said stuck with me, but this definitely sticks out because it's just so personally applicable.
Do you not ever find it concerning the pressure that people put on themselves, especially younger people? I've been noticing this a lot more recently, just speaking to people who are 24, 25, in that window, and there's so much pressure being put on themselves to have to do everything right now. We speak about instant and delayed gratification, and I think that that's a much broader topic to discuss altogether. But just when it comes to pressure, there's so much more that people put on themselves right now. And I've started pondering over it a lot more because I sat with my dad today and I spoke to him for like 30 minutes, not about this. But I thought, when I'm sitting in his position in 25 years, I hope the only thing I tell my kid is to don't put so much pressure on yourself. Like, life will just happen. It's it's bound to work as long as you're just taking steps in the right direction. Like, at the cost of sounding like a preachy dumbass, I truly think that if you're just doing something, you'll get somewhere. Whether it yields the results you want or not, that's a different thing altogether. But there's too much pressure, is what I think.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, there are so many nuances to this, right? Like, if you're someone who's not at all motivated, maybe you need the pressure to start doing something with your life. For someone who puts too much pressure on themselves, they might need to ease off a little bit. And so, I think it really depends person to person. And I think it all just comes back to what really works for you. And you really need to put time in and thought in to figure out who you are and what works for you and what you want and why you want it and why things work for you the way they do. I think that's very important. Some people are more structured, some people are less structured, some people have work at better times, some people don't, some people are meant to be founders, some people are meant to work for founders. Like, it just is what it is. And figure out where you work best, how you work best, what is best for you, what makes you happiest. Because you'll have the most amount of leverage there. Like, look at Omar, for example. He became an actor, which, like, no one else, very few people in our circles do, right? No one just goes for it. It's a risky thing to do. But he did it. And would he be successful if he wasn't an actor? Probably not. He just wouldn't. But he's going to be really good as an actor. And so, I think it's just taking time out to figure yourself out. From my perspective, yes, I do agree there's too much pressure. The people are putting too much pressure on themselves. I mean, you're 26, you don't have to do everything in life by the age of 30, right? You have a lot of time after that. And I was actually talking to someone a couple of days ago about this, and one of the things they said was, stop living life like a sprint, because it is a marathon. And I definitely have been guilty of getting lost in that, because you just want to keep sprinting ahead, right? But what you don't realize is, if you don't take in life, all of life, if you just keep blinders on and keep sprinting towards one thing, then a lot of what is happening around you just gets lost. And for some people, sure, that is important. Like if you're a founder and you're building something, at some level, maybe that's required. But that's the thing, right? Again, it's about nuances. Like it's different for everyone, and I don't know what is right.
I think everyone will make sacrifices.
Yes,
Sacrifices is okay. I think
I think it's necessary.
you have to make some kind of sacrifice, and you pick your sacrifice, whatever you do. But it still doesn't take away from the internal pressure created.
Yes.
External pressure sometimes, like you said, someone amotivated might need it. But this internal pressure being created every day just because you wake up and you look at a screen and you're like, fuck, they're doing this.
Yes, that is
And-
a huge problem.
And before you go to sleep, you look at a screen and you're like, fuck, they're doing this and they're partying here. The interconnectedness of the world is starting to have a net negative effect in a lot of ways now. Part of that being the bigger picture, proverbial instant gratification desire of human beings in everything they do. Right? I don't want to get too deep into this, but you look at quick commerce in India, it works because instant gratification is emotional to a human being. They need that thing now. They want that thing now. Some things are needs, some things are wants. But quick commerce, 8 minutes works because you're catering to an individual's desire of instant gratification. Case in point, myself. I had to order tennis shoes like a week ago, and Amazon said I'll deliver it to you in 2 days. I was upset. I didn't want to wait 2 days because I knew that there was some form for me to get gratified faster and get my tennis shoes sooner. Sure enough, I went on Zepto, and thank you Zepto, I searched up tennis shoes and they pulled up in 9 minutes.
Wow.
So did I need them in 9 minutes? No, I could have waited 2, 3, 4 hours. But the point is,
Or 2 days. Fuck you, 2, 3, 4 hours. You could have waited.
well, my ankle was at stake because I was playing tennis in the evening.
Fair enough.
Right? So if you really think about it, had I gone to play tennis that day in running shoes, broken my ankle, hurt my spine, fallen on my head, I could have died.
That's true.
Right?
Man.
There could have been a ripple effect
Absolutely.
because the tennis shoes didn't show up.
That's very true, dude. Zepto saving lives since 2020 or 2021. I don't know when they started, but whenever it was.
That's all that went through my head.
Blinkit does ambulances now, don't they?
Yeah, it's the most incredible thing that I think has happened in India in a very long time.
Yeah, it's wild. Fucking hospitals couldn't get you ambulances in time.
Yeah.
Blinkit's done it. You want to test it out?
I mean, if Zepto hadn't delivered me the tennis shoes, I would have had to order an ambulance from Blinkit. Again, are you seeing how the
I see the
world
pattern,
is?
dude.
And I don't know. I feel like we're getting customers are getting closer and closer to this deep desire for more and more convenience, which is how marketing works. Marketing sells convenience, and marketing caters to your emotions as a customer. So companies are doing their jobs, but with every new thing that comes out, more convenience is sold. The customer wants convenience, you give them convenience, they will pander to your product before they pander to someone else's product because it shows up in 9 minutes versus 2 days.
But
Right.
see, you can. The way we're talking about it right now, it seems like we're talking about it from it promoting laziness perspective, which at some level it does show. But if you look at the flip side of things, right, what do tools do? They also make you more efficient. Like all of these AI tools, LLMs, whatever the case may be, they can make you lazier, sure, but they also make you more efficient. And so if used the right way, now instead of spending less time doing the same thing, you can spend the same time doing a lot more. And so there are multiple sides to everything. It's just how you look at it, right? And so I don't know how that's going to affect society at large. My hypothesis is that whatever divides are there are just going to get larger.
With AI.
With any kind of tooling, AI seems to be the highest impact thing that we have right now. But yeah, with any type of tooling, I think just divide gets bigger
Between human beings, or is
among human beings.
it?
Because like I look at the biggest companies right now. If someone comes up with AGI, it'll be a few centralized companies. Now the type of leverage they get against the rest of the world is ridiculous. And so, yes, generally. And then you look at these ChatGPT subscriptions, whatever. I mean, unequivocally, ChatGPT makes you more productive and better at work. In the software industry, it's unbelievable. It's orders of magnitude. But then there are people who can't use it. And whatever difference there was between those people and whoever else, it just widens now because of tooling. And sure, maybe you can make tools more accessible, but the higher end, the cutting edge of tools will never be massively accessible. Massy is also a tough word to use because you can say ChatGPT is massy, but at 2,000 rupees a month in India, can you say it's massy? You get what I mean, right? And so I think navigating those things in the future will be very interesting because people who have access will just be so far ahead of people who don't. It's not fair. It's not a level playing field. Right now, we don't have level playing fields because of the place you're born, the way you grow up, the family you're born to, etc., whatever the case may be. Now you add all of these things, like these things just keep adding on top of those. And first you had like 3 disadvantages because of however, like wherever you were born, whatever the case may be. Suddenly next year you'll have 4, and then the year after that you'll have 7, and then it just keeps growing. And how do you come back from that? I don't know.
I think societally, I'd contest that, and I'd say societally you might have inequalities
Yes.
because of where you're born and where you're raised. You might have certain disadvantages there. Technologically, I think that it's largely a level playing field for certain layers. Layer 1, Exhibit A, everybody has a phone and an internet.
Yes.
In the deepest corners of Indian villages or African villages or Mexican villages, and you will have somebody who has a phone who can open everything that you can open on your phone.
100%.
The biggest technocrats and technophobes in this world have the same phones.
Yes.
We use the same phones as the billionaires, as the millionaires. So there's a level playing field in terms of technology.
That is true.
Will there be a level playing field with software? Maybe we don't see it right now. Granted, I think ChatGPT has 200 million users?
I have no idea. I
Okay.
don't know the number.
I think we'll fact check this.
Mm.
But ChatGPT has a stupid amount of users, right? What's to say that they won't work towards making it more accessible so that they become a powerhouse that competes with the biggest search windows in the world, Google's, and hope maybe.
Yeah, sure. They
Perplexity.
want to make it more accessible, but even when you look at their best reasoning models, O3 and stuff, deep research, it is fundamentally really good. But that's not even 2,000 rupees a month. That's whatever that 15, 16, 17,
Why
18,000
does somebody
rupees
in a
month.
tier 3 village in India need it?
No, fair enough. They probably don't. But that's where, again, what I said, I'm not 100% convinced that that is what will happen because, as you said, at the end of the day, another way to look at it is the gap is the smallest it's ever been because everyone uses the same phone, everyone uses the same, like, that base level access is there to everyone. But, and sure, they don't need access to these best models. But when you look at the kind of impact people at the highest level are having with these kind of tools, the things they are building, and let's take money, for example, because that's the easiest thing to measure. the type of money they're making versus the type of money someone in a tier 3 city will make 10 years ago, there would be a huge difference, but that difference would be, I would guess, less than that difference is right now. And so that gap widens. I could be wrong about that.
It's made jobs more efficient for people who had the ability to bring in more efficiency to their jobs.
Yes.
It's made lives more convenient for people who have access to the technology.
Yes.
I don't know what the use case is yet for somebody sitting in tier 3 India.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? If they make, let's say, 5,000 a month, seems fair, right? They were doing that 10 years ago. Right now, it would have gone up to 6. But in those tier 1 cities, if they were making 5,000 10 years ago, now they're making 10, 15. And so that gap widens. That's all I'm saying. Is technology affecting everyone for the better? Yes. But is it disproportionately affecting people? Maybe. And I think it's a yes. I could be wrong.
I think it's just a question of, it comes back to access. I think that the two most important things to consider are access and use case. And we have use case for it, and we also have access to it. If you have both on the hamster wheel, great. If you have one, good, figure out the second. But at this point, there are enough people who also don't need it. Like, I look at the help in my house. If they pull up ChatGPT, fuck are they gonna ask it?
How to fucking make food, bro.
Yeah,
Imagine the new recipes you could be eating, bro. You would pay them twice the amount.
That's exactly that is exactly what.
Actually, you know what? Think about that. If your Didi just came one day and she's just making wild shit, like, you'd be down for a raise for sure.
Wow, we have found a use case.
There you go.
But Google can do that now.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
Like, you can't technologically complicate people's lives that have just picked up that extent of technology.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, Google can do all of these things. It's just more efficient with
Agreed.
other tools, but you can do all of that.
Agreed. I think the reasoning nature, and don't get me wrong, what ChatGPT and Claude and these LLMs are doing for the world is fantastic, but it's still nascent enough where they will find a way to make it accessible to everybody. It's just a question of what those specific use cases will be for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And those are a TBD.
So much of the world is TBD, man.
Yeah.
So much of the world.
Yeah. I don't know why I've been looking at you recently, and I think you do really well on Big Boss.
Get off my back.
Okay, no, real talk. Like, if someone came to you and said, Pooja, what is his behavior? What are you saying?
Saying get off my back. I'm gonna scream it at the top of my lungs. If I can find a mop nearby, I'm gonna pick it up.
How much would I have to pay you to go on Big Boss?
Free. I'm in.
Salman Khan, you heard it here.
He still hosts for Big Boss.
I hope so.
I'm sure he does. Yeah, no, I'm in. No questions. Dude, I think it'll be fun. I will probably get really annoyed at some point, but regardless, it'll
At
be
some point, dude, it's
very
like 90
interesting.
days, I think, or more, even locked in with these people in the same house with no access to technology. How are you going to take a shit? Are you going to start reading a book or what?
I'll read my palms, dude. I'll learn some astrology and palm
about
reading.
My palm right now.
It's got lines.
Okay. What do those lines mean?
Okay, so that top line,
Right.
that's like your lifeline.
Right.
And like, I don't know if that's big or small, but like when that ends, it's done. Okay. And then the one under that is your love line. And so again, I don't know if that's big or small.
Doesn't look
But
like I'm falling in love, dude. Tarot card reading is a legit thing. Can tell a lot about a person's life. I did have a very interesting conversation about astrology a couple of days ago. It had nothing to do with tarot card reading. It just had to do with astrologers. I learned a new Hindi term, which if my mom hears is gonna laugh, but you can figure out what your kundli is.
Yeah, my mom has
Yeah,
talked to
yeah,
me
yeah.
about that quite a bit.
So I went on the internet
Jesus.
and I did findmykundli.com.
Is that actually a thing?
God, I hope so. But it was along those lines.
Yeah.
And it told me a handful of things about my life.
Do tell.
It told me that love may not come early in my life, but it will come.
Bro, okay, so here's my problem with all of these things, right? They're too general.
Yeah.
They're way too general. Anything can be applied to anything. You will have an experience with death. You might not die, but someone close to you might die. Or you might see a dead body. Or so, bro, what? What do you mean? A part of your personality could die. This could why? Tell me something specific. None of this makes sense. Sure, I fucking saw a dead rat on the street. Does that mean what you said was true? Fuck off. Like, I just, it's so general. We spoke.
This
I
is my
won't say
favorite moment in any episode we've ever had.
I have so many problems with this shit because so many people actually believe it, like deeply believe it.
Yeah. Like one of our ex guests.
Yeah, a few.
Like
And-
things got heated between you and Saibha on the astrology front, you know?
Yeah, and then that's the thing, right? Okay, guess my sun sign. 11, I don't know how many guesses. She's 6, 7 guesses. All of them were wrong. Then she's like, oh, that's just because you told me the wrong things. Oh, fuck, man. Like, I don't know what to say now. That's the problem with people who believe in this shit. There is always an ad hoc explanation for anything. But that's not how science works.
It's an art. Astrology is an art. It's like marketing.
But okay, here's the thing, right? If
I just said marketing.
I didn't even pick up on that because I'm so fucking furious with this shit. But if you can give me something specific, something that I can test to see if you're right or wrong, fuck that. Even if 5 different astrologers tell me the same thing, okay, you know what? I'll think about this a little more. But they just say the most generic stuff. Someone told me, oh, your dad loves you. Thanks.
I think they could read daddy issues on your face, dude. They were like, we need to reinforce this kid a little bit.
But like, it's just generic stuff. And it's just, anyway. I don't know how we got into this topic,
Right.
but
Make sure to treat it as an art, though. Next time we meet an astrologer together.
that's never happening.
We-
Actually, I think we should just do a panel segment.
Yeah. We'll get
Going-
an astrologer. If you're an astrologer and you're looking to talk
Absolutely not.
to 25-year-old kids.
I cannot sit and have. Actually, it'll be interesting because I would really want to pick their brain. But I think what would be more interesting content perspective is if we just go astrologer hopping. Mix it in with bar hopping, but like astrologer hopping, right? And then we see what similarities are there.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yes. Done.
That'll also be expensive. These people charge you too much money for this
I paid
shit.
$40 once to some old lady in LA to tell me
What did she
to
tell
read
you?
my palm.
What did she read?
I was with my girlfriend at the time, and she looked at my palm and she said, looks like your love life with your current girlfriend is short. I'm like, what the fuck?
I take it back, dude. It's true. It's true. It's all true. It's always been true. I see the light.
So that's after the fact, I thought back to that, and I started believing in astrology.
Wow. Absolutely right, dude.
Because,
She said that in front of.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
What was her reaction? Oh, I can see the PTSD on your face right now.
Fuck, man. This. Yeah, that was something. That was something.
Yeah. How do you feel about going back to New York tomorrow while the final is happening?
Way to rub it in, my friend. God. Man. There's gonna come a day where we'll talk about all the changes in my life, but
Mhm.
right now is not that day.
Fair enough.
That was the white elephant in the room, by the way.
I know.
Coming back to it. Which we will address the white elephant because it exists,
Yeah.
but we'll do that in a couple of episodes from now.
I really want to see a white elephant. Like, now that's just in my head.
They exist.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
I'm sure they do.
Have I not mentioned that I was a consultant in New York and I learned it over there? It's terminology. Hi guys, good morning. How was your day? Good. How's the weather? Good. Yeah, it's so sunny in Philadelphia today. What's the weather like in New York? Oh, it's fucking freezing. Oh, should we address the white elephant in the room? There was a storm in California. Can you believe it? I'm like, that's not a fucking white elephant. That happens all the time. You still don't understand the concept of white elephants.
No, I get it, but just the sidebar and the rant, I'm so confused. I'm like, wait, is he going somewhere with this? What's going on? Huh.
I'm hyped to go back to New York though. Like, it's been a
Yeah.
hot minute here.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back and get back to a little bit of independent life until life gets unindependent again, you
Mhm.
know? Meet all my friends, play some football, spend some money on good cups of coffee, and then back to the hustle somewhere. I think that chapter might be closing though. So it's an emotional trip.
Yeah, because all of that, I'm a consultant, I live in New York, oh, the New York City of dreams on New York.
Well, look on the
All
bright side. Nobody can box me in anymore. I'm out of the box, bitches.
I don't think we have been this delulu for a fucking podcast.
Dude, speaking of
ever.
Lulu, we all need to talk about this. Gen Alpha has the wildest slangs.
Stop. What is Gen Alpha?
Gen Alpha is 2012 onwards. They have the wildest slang.
13-year-olds.
Yeah,
basically,
13,
like,
14-year-olds abhi. Like, it's in that
Just
2000
teens. Just teens.
2010, 12 range,
Yeah.
whatever. Teens, but also like people who might be 8 and 6 and 4. Like, it's
Okay, yeah.
onwards,
Yes,
Ribhav.
onwards. That checks out.
It's not a
That
single
checks out.
year.
Wait, so Gen Z is what we are. That is 99, 2000 types?
96.
Okay,
96,
yeah.
97
Okay.
up until Gen Alpha.
Oh, there's nothing between Alpha and Z.
No.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Z is the last letter. A is the first letter.
That checks out.
Yeah. Before Gen Z was Gen Y. Before Gen Y was
Don't
Gen
give me
X.
this shit.
Yeah. It just didn't start from Gen A.
Who are millennials?
Millennials are Gen Y, I think. Like, yeah.
Okay.
And
But
then our
it's just
parents
like Y,
are
X,
baby
or-
boomers. So like the nomenclature
Baby boomers. Wait, they're baby boomers. So
Yeah.
who are the older boomers? Are their parents?
Yeah. But the nomenclature with letters came
Yes.
in clearly in the last like 4 decades.
And then we'll have Gen Beta. Beta just sounds bad. man.
Exactly. Gen Beta, Gen Chutia, Gen... सारे आएंगे अभी. It's only a matter of time, man. Where we live in a world full of them.
10 years of Gen Chutia.
Jeez. You need to be adaptive to the new generations that are coming in.
Absolutely.
Because you're gonna have kids that are from Gen Chutia.
That is... Holy shit.
Yeah. That's why I have kids earlier.
No. I'm going to have Beta.
That's what you think, but your wife to be has to also be willing, right?
Just for the naming of the generations, I think it must be done.
Okay. Wife to be, if you're listening to this, then please have a Gen Beta kid.
Beta is also so bad.
Yeah.
Man.
Beta just
bad.
sounds like your child has grown up in a subpar generation.
Yeah, it's like your child is just born a bitch.
Yeah. You could name the Gen bitch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that breaks my heart. You
But
have to come
anyways.
up with better namings. But anyway,
Let's come back to closing this out. Where do you want this sport to be in 1 year from now?
very specifically, I think 1 year from now we should be getting quality incoming requests. I don't know if that's realistic actually. For guests to be on the pod, and it should be like if we reach out to someone to be on the pod, requesting them, like inviting them on the pod, their immediate reaction should be definitely yes. Like they want to do it because it's good for them. In 1 year's time, I think it would be a huge win if we get our podcast to a stage where it is a win for a guest to be on here. It is good for them and it impacts them in a positive way somehow. I think that's the goal. At least that.
I think this is the story that one of our prior guests told us, who had been on the Raj Shamani show and went to
The barber.
went to the barber, and his barber recognized him from the Raj Shamani show.
Yeah.
It's just like little things like that which would be so cool,
Yeah.
you know? Like I want our guests to go to get a pedicure and be told, "आप उनके show पे थे?" So that's a good goal. I like that. And I think that's just gonna come by putting our head down, being resilient. One of my favorite things that I think 3-4 guests have spoken about is just resilience.
Yeah.
But the thing that's really stuck is what Radhika auntie said. She said,
We haven't released that pod yet, have we?
no, but she said, most people will play the game
Yes.
for a very short window, but the real winners are those that just never leave the race.
Yeah.
You just have one foot in the race at all times, and you'll compound so much more consistency and resilience that the byproduct of that will be winning. And you can make that work for you in so many different avenues of life, right? So that one really stuck with me.
I think that's been resilience is the common characteristic that has come from every podcast where we've spoken about what it takes to be successful.
Yes.
Whether it be the athletes, whether it be the entrepreneurs, whether it be the actors, everyone has said the same thing. It's resilience.
Yeah.
And makes sense.
There is something to be said about resilience, man.
There's a lot to be said.
Let nights like this prove that resilience is the only way that you'll get through it.
What
Like
the fuck has a night like this done?
it's 11:40 in the night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
I mean, it's just one of those where, sure, this is not like building a startup or a business and grinding 18 hours a day and sleeping for 2, but you learn and you pick up bits and pieces of resilience and discipline that then translate into parts of your life that work for you. I love that. If you had a piece of advice for anyone in their 20s, Ribhav, what would that be?
Never take my advice.
Yeah,
That would be
seriously,
my
like never take his
Most
advice.
honest advice.
Yeah. His advice is the reason that I'm leaving New York. But am I?
We'll find out. Stay
Keep
tuned.
watching.
You're
I'm a
fucking
clickbaiting
clown.
motherfucker.
Bro, do we have enough pods in our pipeline to keep going, or is Radhika Auntie the last one?
Dude, don't worry about the pipeline. Are you Ava Hessington?
I have no clue who Eva Hessington is.
Good, then.
Hessington Oil. But, oh my god, Suits! Suits!
Yeah.
I'm trying to... Who's Eva
Stephen
Hessington
Huntley
now?
got her pipeline killed.
Stephen Huntley?
Was the lawyer from London that came and had sex with Donna, and he went to school with Ava's hitman.
There was a hitman in Suits?
Yeah, Colonel Mariga. He was there in season 3. And Stephen Huntley ordered the killings to Ava's pipeline because it's what he had to do to get Ava to win. The oil business is a dirty business.
Do you remember all shows that you watch in this detail?
No.
Just Suits.
Suits, for sure. Because Suits I rewatch. I particularly rewatch Suits to pick up things. I try to learn from Suits.
What's been your biggest learning from Suits?
Confidence. Confidence can put you in rooms that weren't meant for you. And there's a lot of weight to your words.
Mm-hmm.
if you know how to use them well.
Mm.
Harvey Specter may be the best closer in New York in the show, but if you sit down and look at his persona and the way he operates as a human being, his words hold weight, and the way that he uses them are so tactical in every situation that he's in, and it's all through the confidence that he's built for himself. Same thing with Mike Ross getting the job at the firm. When he walked in, a non-Harvard student, he just had confidence. He was like,
But I think,
fucking-
but that's the thing. So you've watched this a bunch of times, right? I think
Yeah.
you're missing the main point of the show. The main point of the show is to always carry a briefcase full of weed.
yeah.
Because if you really think about it, that would have never happened if it
That's
wasn't for
facts,
that.
Dude, that's facts. Weed plays a very big role in some people's lives.
In suits, yes. Yeah, do not carry a briefcase of suits. Do not listen to us. See, that's why it all circles back to don't take our advice. We're just
But
professional shit
Suits,
talkers.
I would argue, is the best show that I have ever watched.
Yeah.
I watched the first episode of Suits LA, and like, sorry, Suits LA, I know you're listening to this. It's god awful.
Yeah.
Because nothing
I saw the trailer for it and it hurt me.
can replicate what the cast of Suits did. I'm a Suits loyalist.
They tried to make it this like the same thing, right? Like the same
Yeah.
characters and everything.
You can't,
It's painful.
dude, you can't replicate Tom Cruise from Mission Impossible. You can't replicate Tom Cruise from Top Gun. You can't replicate Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. Right? Like you're not gonna find those three people. You're not gonna be able to build the perfect scene where they're driving in a car in Spain and Abhay Deol takes his phone and throws it out the Farhan Akhtar takes his phone and throws it out the window. Like those perfectly crafted moments you can't do again because then it loses the novelty of that. Anyway, can we just shut the fuck up now? Are we done?
I guess. How much time have we? 122.
A lot. Nobody wants to hear us.
Have we given any value on this pod? This is one of them Delulu pods. Every time I say the word Delulu or I think of the word Delulu, Rashi
Gen
comes
Alpha
into
word.
Oh, Rashi comes into my head.
The only reality you need to know about Lulu, it is the Salulu.
Oh God.
You'll find value in this pod. But make sure you reach here so that you can hear me telling you that you'll find value in this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot. And if you've made it here, you've found the value in the podcast. I'm done, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We love you.
I
We
mean,
hope
that's
you
also kind of
enjoyed
debatable.
this episode.
We don't know them.
Don't listen to any word that Ribhav says after 11:30 p.m. And if you liked this episode, share it with your friends, send it to your parents, and make sure to slide into our DMs and tell us what you loved the most about it.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.